You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
Heading to this year's Black Hat USA, the N2K CyberWire team will be on site recording from our podcast studio in the Spectre Ops Kennel Club. If you're interested in joining us for a conversation or learning more about what we're recording throughout the week, visit sponsor.thecyberwire.com for more information. And make sure you stop by the studio and meet the N2K CyberWire team. We'll see you there. What's the one thing in business that's spreading as fast as AI? AI risk. Every new tool your team signs up for, every vendor that turns on AI features, every new integration, each one is an opportunity for something to go wrong. And most security programs weren't built for AI's pace of growth. Enter Vanta. Vanta is the #1 agentic trust platform, used by over 16,000 fast-moving companies like Ramp, Cursor, and Harvey to ensure they're always audit-ready. And now, Vanta is helping companies like yours watch for the risks that show up between audits, across your vendors, your AI tools, and your whole environment. How? The Vanta agent works like a 24/7 GRC engineer in the background, finding issues, drafting fixes, and cutting vendor assessment time by up to 50%. Whether you're a fast-growing startup or a global enterprise, Vanta is here to help you automate your security and compliance and earn and prove trust. Get started today at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber. GhostApproval puts AI coding assistants under the microscope. Microsoft fixes the RoguePlanet 0 Day. More than 70 cybersecurity firms back a new AI charter. An Ohio county may have paid $1 million ransom. AssuranceAmerica discloses a breach affecting nearly 7 million people. Australia bricks thousands of broadband routers. Israeli fintech Nayax reports a cyber incident. KDDI confirms a massive telecom data breach. A global anti-fraud operation leads to thousands of arrests. Our guest is Ben Yelin from the University of Maryland Center for Cyber Health and Hazard Strategies, explaining the EU Cloud and AI Development Act. And Slopfix fights fire with fire. It's Thursday, July 9th, 2026. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It's great as always to have you with us. Wiz Research has disclosed a flaw dubbed GhostApproval, affecting 6 AI coding assistants: Amazon Q Developer, Claude Code, Augment, Cursor, Google Anti-Gravity, and Windsurf. The issue exploits symbolic links, or symlinks, to disguise writes to sensitive files as harmless project edits. In Wiz's proof of concept, an AI agent following routine setup instructions overwrote a developer's SSH keys after the approval prompt displayed only an innocent-looking file name, potentially enabling passwordless remote access and, in the worst case, remote code execution. Amazon, Google, and Cursor have released fixes, with Cursor assigning a CVE. Augment and Windsurf acknowledged the reports but have not yet issued fixes, while Anthropic disputed the issue as a vulnerability. Wiz recommends resolving symlinks before approval prompts and warning users about rights outside the project. Microsoft has patched a Microsoft Defender 0 Day called RoguePlanet, a race condition that allows a local attacker to gain system privileges on fully patched Windows 10 and 11 systems, even with real-time protection disabled. The flaw exploits a timing gap in Defender's file scanning process, allowing an attacker to swap a scanned file with a malicious payload that executes with elevated privileges. A public proof of concept has been released, though Microsoft says it has not seen the vulnerability exploited in the wild. The flaw affects multiple versions of the malware protection engine and is fixed in the latest version, which updates automatically. Administrators should verify engine versions, restrict local administrative privileges, and monitor for suspicious file activity to reduce potential impact. More than 70 cybersecurity organizations have signed CREST's AI Charter, committing to 9 principles for the responsible use of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity. The framework emphasizes accountability, transparency, documentation, human oversight, data sovereignty, security, secure AI development, supply chain risk management, and business continuity. Signatories pledge to disclose when AI is used, maintain audit trails, protect client data, and ensure qualified personnel retain final oversight of AI-driven decisions. The Charter also calls for securing AI tools throughout their lifecycle, managing third-party AI risks, and planning for AI-related disruptions. CREST said the principles were developed with industry input and reflect the growing role of AI, with nearly 70% of cybersecurity providers now using AI daily. The organization hopes the Charter will establish common industry standards and reduce the need for formal regulation while improving trust and interoperability. Ransom ISEC reports that a U.S. government entity, believed to be Union County, Ohio, paid the Kairos cyber extortion group $1 million after attackers stole roughly 2 terabytes of data in a May 2025 breach. Negotiation records show the attackers reduced their demand from $3 million before payment was made in Bitcoin. The incident involved data theft and extortion, not file encryption. Ransom ISAC cautioned there is no reliable way to verify the attackers actually deleted the stolen data, despite providing proof of deletion artifacts. AssuranceAmerica has disclosed a data breach affecting nearly 7 million individuals after attackers gained unauthorized access to its network in March of this year. The insurer said the intrusion began on March 16th by targeting an employee, allowing attackers to access parts of its IT environment and copy customer data. Exposed information may include names, contact details, insurance policy and claims information, driver and vehicle records, and driver's license numbers. After detecting the breach on March 17th, the company disabled compromised accounts, terminated unauthorized sessions, isolated affected systems, notified law enforcement, and strengthened security with password resets, enhanced monitoring, and employee training. AssuranceAmerica completed its review of impacted files in June and is notifying affected individuals, advising them to monitor financial accounts and report suspicious activity. Thousands of SamKnows-branded routers used in the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission's Measuring Broadband Australia program were remotely disabled after the initiative ended on June 30th, prompting criticism over unnecessary electronic waste. The routers, distributed to volunteers beginning in 2020 to measure broadband performance, remained functional hardware but were intentionally bricked as part of the program's shutdown. Volunteers were instructed to recycle the devices, although some users have successfully reflashed them with the open-source OpenWRT operating system to restore full router functionality. Critics argue SamKnows or its parent company Cisco could have released a final firmware update instead of disabling the devices. Neither SamKnows, Cisco, nor the ACCC provided a clear explanation for the decision, despite concerns about avoidable e-waste. Israeli fintech company Nayax has disclosed a cybersecurity incident after detecting suspicious activity in a cloud account belonging to one of its subsidiaries. The company said the affected account was immediately secured and emphasized that its production environment, payment processing systems, and business operations were not impacted. The incident follows online extortion claims threatening to publish allegedly stolen data on July 21st, though Nayax cautioned that cybercriminals often exaggerate such claims to pressure victims. The company is working with cybersecurity experts and law enforcement in Israel and the United States while investigating the scope of any exposed data. Nayax said it does not currently believe material information was compromised, but will provide updates if significant findings emerge. The disclosure was also reported to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Japanese telecom giant KDDI confirmed that a June cyber attack exposed the data of 12.2 million people after attackers exploited a zero-day vulnerability in software supporting the email infrastructure of 5 internet service providers. Stolen data included email addresses and 7.6 million passwords, though KDDI's owned mobile and fixed-line email services were unaffected. The company says it removed the attackers, is coordinating password resets with affected providers, and is working on a patch and broader security improvements. Operation First Light 2026, a global anti-fraud initiative coordinated by Interpol, led to the arrest of over 5,800 suspects, the identification of more than 15,000 suspects and 142,000 victims, and the seizure of $293 million in illicit assets. Conducted between January and April across 97 countries and territories, the operation targeted social engineering scams, including romance fraud, business email compromise, and related money laundering. Authorities froze more than 31,000 bank accounts and numerous cryptocurrency wallets, while dismantling criminal networks in multiple countries. One notable raid in Eswatini uncovered an elaborate impersonation scheme involving a fake Brazilian police station. Interpol said the operation also helped solve nearly 24,000 fraud cases and highlighted the value of international collaboration against cyber-enabled financial crime. Coming up after the break, Ben Yelin from the University of Maryland Center for Cyber Health and Hazard Strategies explains the EU Cloud and AI Development Act. And Slopfix fights fire with fire. Stay with us. AI is making phishing attacks faster, more convincing, and harder for people to spot, and traditional security awareness and phishing training weren't designed for this level of attack. HawksHunt helps security teams prepare employees for the attacks they face every day with personalized phishing training that adapts to each employee and reduces risky behavior over time. For IT and security leaders looking to strengthen their human layer of defense without adding more manual work, visit hawkshunt.com/cyberwire to learn more. That's HOXHUNT.com/cyberwire. This episode is supported by Black Hat USA. If you follow the research, you know a lot of it breaks on Black Hat stages. Hundreds of peer-reviewed briefings, more than 100 hands-on trainings, and the largest business hall in Black Hat's history. 6 days to learn the skills you'll need tomorrow, August 1st through the 6th. Use code CYBERWIRE for $200 off your briefings pass at blackhat.com. We'll see you in Vegas. It is always my pleasure to welcome back to the show Ben Yelin. He is from the University of Maryland Center for Cyber Health and Hazard Strategies and also my co-host on the Caveat podcast. Hey there, Ben.
Hey, Dave. Good to be with you.
So, on our recent episode of Caveat, we were discussing the EU's efforts toward technological sovereignty, and I thought that would be a worthy conversation for our CyberWire listeners as well. Can you just start off with a summary? What's the EU after here?
Sure. So the European Union has proposed and is in the process of enacting something called the Cloud and AI Development Act. I read about this first in a story on the Lawfare blog, which I'm sure we'll link to. Part of a new strategy on the part of the European Union through the European Commission to achieve technological sovereignty. It is designed to reduce Europe's dependence on foreign and particularly U.S. cloud providers and strengthen European technology autonomy within their own jurisdictions. And I think you have to think broader than just technology here. We've seen this in other contexts where leaders of other Western democracies have talked very openly about the inability to rely on the United States as a provider of X, Y, and Z. One of the speeches that I think was the major catalyst for this type of thinking was one that Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney gave in front of the Davos conference in Switzerland, where he talked about how, given what's happened with the Trump presidency and the fact that he was elected 2 separate times, countries need to prepare for the fact that they can't rely on the United States to be the provider of military technology or collective defense, that countries are going to have to assume sovereignty over these domains where they've been overly reliant on the United States. And one of those spheres is technology. And I think that's really the context that we need to understand why they're doing this. So basically, they're worried about a couple of different risks here. The first is that we have our own Cloud Act, the U.S. Cloud Act, which allows U.S. authorities to access data held by American companies, even when stored in the EU. So obviously, that kind of violates their sovereignty if our government can snoop in on data stored in the EU. And then this concern about a so-called kill switch, where we issue sanctions or other government actions that prevent our companies from providing cloud services to European users, which would be a disaster. Like, if the EU lost our cloud computing services, that makes up 70% of their cloud computing market. And so, yeah, it's going to be really difficult. Imagine if your cloud computing service, preferred service of choice, failed or was shut down, and how much important data you'd lose. So they've come up with a framework where there are 4 sovereignty assurance levels going up from level 1, which is lower risk. For level 1, data must be hosted in the EU and protected from foreign reporting requirements, all the way up to the strictest standard, which is level 4, requiring full independence from foreign-controlled companies and high cybersecurity certifications. So this could have a big impact on the market in the United States for cloud computing, the ability for our big cloud computing companies to continue to do business in the European Union, and for just general diplomatic relations with the EU as they try to establish these new spheres of sovereignty, this one being technological sovereignty.
And this goes beyond the Trump administration, right? I mean, this is a kind of a recalibration of the global trading order. Is it fair to say since World War II?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been on a glide path, especially starting the past 45 years or so, to increased globalization, a common global market. In the last 30 years, a free and relatively resistance-free internet where people in the United States can view things that are hosted on European servers. And I think because of, Trump might be the initial catalyst as somebody who has expressed these America First ideals, somebody who is more protectionist when it comes to trade. But yeah, it does go beyond him. I think European countries are recognizing that even if Trump leaves office, there's still this latent desire among a significant portion of the U.S. population to be more protectionist, to focus on U.S. companies, to issue things like tariffs and sanctions to protect U.S. companies at the expense of European companies. And that can include things like banning these companies from serving the European Union or being in the European Union market. So I think the fact that that movement exists in this country is inspiring the European Union to take action and to prepare for a world in which they can be self-sufficient without reliance on our technological resources.
Well, surely, if I'm one of the big U.S. cloud providers, I am letting the White House know that I'm not at all pleased about this. Do you think this administration has an open ear to those sorts of complaints?
I think they definitely have an open ear. I mean, there have been a lot of concerns about this. Companies have expressed the concern seeing this new EU initiative that they could be shut out from the European government's cloud market, even though there are some exceptions and derogations that can allow U.S. providers to step in when there aren't adequate alternatives. But yeah, I think they might have the ear of the White House, but as we've seen in things like the imposition of tariffs, sometimes the Trump administration is willing to go against big business interests, including cloud computing titans, I would guess, even if some of these people have been his political supporters, and even if it would have an impact on U.S. markets. And even when Trump has been forced to back down, there could be a future president who is not as keen to get cold feet when the stock market crashes, for example, and who might be more ideologically predisposed to maintaining these levels of separation. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand why there's a concern among these companies and why these companies would, if and when this law gets enacted, face significant challenges meeting some of these higher assurance levels.
Ben Yelin is from the University of Maryland Center for Cyber Health and Hazard Strategies and my co-host on the Caveat podcast. Ben, thanks so much for taking the time for us.
Thank you.
As organizations grow, so does complexity. New applications are deployed, vendors are granted temporary access, and remote support tools are installed. Many of them never go away. In my recent conversation at RSAC 2026 with Rob Allen, Chief Product Officer at ThreatLocker, he explains how these forgotten tools create hidden pathways into enterprise environments and why attackers increasingly exploit what's already inside the network instead of trying to break through the perimeter. Learn how to reduce lingering access, shrink your attack surface, and implement zero trust more effectively by listening to the full conversation at explore.thecyberwire.com/threatlocker.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
And finally, in what may be the most delightful circular startup idea of the year, a company called Slopfix has built a business around cleaning up AI-generated code, using AI coding agents to do the cleaning. For a starting fee of $10,000 a week, its engineers promise to shrink bloated code bases while preserving functionality. They get paid based on how much code they delete. Before touching a project, Slopfix documents every screen and endpoint as a regression checklist, then delivers a leaner code base, guardrails to prevent future bloat, and a 2-week warranty. The timing is no accident. GetClear reports duplicated code has surged 81% since 2023, while refactoring has nearly disappeared, as AI-generated vibe coding increasingly produces sprawling, repetitive software. Slopfix's premise is simple: use AI to clean up AI's mess. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. N2K's lead producers, Liz Stokes, were mixed by Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our contributing host is Maria Vermazis. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.